coming. This is an extremely important news conference. It's an extremely important issue, as you can see from who is going to be participating in this effort. For much too long, we have seen individuals litter our streets and our highways to the point where it's no longer acceptable or no longer financially feasible to keep picking up after everyone. What's behind us is a trash bin that just represents from Thompson Road, I think it's a Thompson to Teal if I'm not mistaken, 1 mile on each side of the highway. 1 mile on each side of the highway. There's 2 couches, for crying out loud, that were picked up, and all the other junk. And on the way over here from downtown, on Route 690, I see a recycling bin all broken up with all bottles all over the place. I mean, who in their right mind would do that? Well, I guess the point today is that we're not going to tolerate it any longer. We're going to make sure that the city and the county have committed to clean up what's there right now. And all our law enforcement officials have agreed that they're going to make an extra effort to arrest or give tickets to those who are violating the law, and those individuals are going to be prosecuted. So, with that said, I want to introduce the first individual of many who are involved in this very important project, Senator David Valesky.
Thank you, Senator. I want to thank everyone for being here today. This is an important effort whose time has finally come. It's about collaboration, and Assemblyman Magnarelli will speak to the collaborative efforts in just a moment. But I want to thank personally the workers from both the city and the county who have already spent a number of hours last week, all throughout last week, beginning on July 9th, up on Interstate 690, picking up that trash. Now, how much trash is there? So it's my job to tell you that. On the 2-mile stretch of road that Senator DeFrancisco mentioned, more than 3 tons of litter and debris. 3 tons of litter and debris collected right here behind us. Now, the city of Syracuse has about 17 miles of interstate. So if you do the math, 3 tons for 2 miles, we're looking at over 25 tons of garbage, or 50,000 pounds. So that's absolutely unacceptable. I want to thank publicly here the new director, executive director of the Onondaga County Resource Recovery Agency, Mark Donnelly. Okra has said that, thank you Mark, thank you for being here. This trash would have cost to dispose through Okra about $250. Okra is not charging that fee at all. The 25,000 tons that could be collected through this effort would cost almost $2,000. It would be a cost to Central New Yorkers. And thanks to Okra, they are not charging that fee. So there's a lot of work here to be done, and Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli, who represents part of the city of Syracuse and towns in Onondaga County, will speak to the collaborative efforts that we've been able to put together. Thank you.
Well, just to go on from there, in these times where resources are scarce, collaboration is absolutely essential. A lot of people work together on this effort and deserve to be recognized. Carl Ford and his folks at the DOT, the state DOT, the city and county workers who were out there in 90-degree heat picking up this garbage. And by the way, not only is Okra not paying the fee, but think of all the money it costs to have those workers on the highway picking that garbage up. How much it costs the taxpayers of Onondaga County, the city of Syracuse, to do that. I want to thank Okra, obviously, Syracuse University, the Downtown Committee, the Sierra Club, our sheriff, the chief of police, our district attorney, Bill Fitzpatrick, and many, many more. Senator DeFrancisco and Senator Valesky's staff for all they've been doing. And by the way, I want to thank Sean Kursk for his persistence in making sure this matter doesn't get off the pages of our newspaper. The willingness of everyone to come together as a group and bring their ideas, their resources, their expertise to the table is a great example of why our city and this region have such great potential. In addition to cleanup, we want to make people aware that littering has a real cost. As Senator Valesky just mentioned, picking up garbage takes resources. That's why you'll see in the next few weeks a concerted effort to draw attention to what we're doing and to make people think twice before littering. As if throwing garbage on the street is the same as throwing money out of their pockets. Now I'd like to introduce the mayor of the city of Syracuse for her.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Today's announcement is really proof that necessity is the mother of all invention. Alone, none of our governments could have done this. But together, we can and have decided to once again meet a priority of this community. But we needed the help of the state, working with DOT to make sure that they could keep it safe for our workers, making sure that we could do it effectively and efficiently. We, of course, needed our workers from the city and the county, and we needed, importantly, everyone to say that this is a priority and they would remove the obstacles necessary for us to clean up this trash. So I just want to add my voice and say that we also need help from the citizens of our community. Each of us hear all the time the frustration from people who talk about the litter and what a bad light it puts our community in. If each of us refuses to accept littering and says that we will no longer allow people to treat our community and our roads like a garbage can, it will stop. And hopefully this is the first step in making our entire community say we will no longer accept bad behavior. So I want to thank all of the officials who allowed this to happen. And I particularly want to thank the person whose job it is to make sure that we have a clean lake, make sure that we have a clean county, and who really kick-started all of us in getting us to where we are today. And that's Deputy County Executive Matt Millea.
Thank you, Mayor. It's always a pleasure to work with you and your staff on this. And Carl Ford, thank you for your assistance in making sure that our workers were going to be safe out there on the very hot day, and that going forward we'll have your continued cooperation as we continue to attack this issue. There's still work to be done, and we, County Executive, wanted to make sure I stress that we're absolutely committed to this effort, and we'll continue to work with our partners until we have people drive through town and say, you know what, it looks remarkable, it looks so much better. And we certainly thank our state leaders for their support of this effort and making sure that we have the resources that we need to put the people out there in the field. And the mayor touched on something that's also equally important, as the Assemblyman mentioned, with dollars and cents. If we don't get our litter problem under control in this community, particularly along our highways, we face tens of millions of dollars in costs when it comes to cleaning up the lake. That's one of the last remaining items of the lake cleanup, and that we're still negotiating with the Department of Environmental Conservation. And this effort will go a long way to helping us convince the Department of Environmental Conservation that this community is on top of its litter problem and that we don't need to invest tens of millions of dollars in gray infrastructure that's not really necessary if we just do what we're supposed to do out here in the field. So I thank all of our partners today on behalf of the County Executive, and we look forward to continuing this great partnership. And with that, I'd like to introduce the District Attorney, Bill Fitzpatrick. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. And thanks to John DeFrancisco for bringing this diverse group together. There's one thing we agree on, it's John DeFrancisco and garbage. There's no question about it. I think the mayor said it correctly. This is essentially about, do you have pride in your community or don't you? When you drive, if you're from out of town, you're thinking about starting a business here, you're driving on our interstates or our local roads and highways, and if you see a bunch of garbage like this, it's certainly going to be very discouraging and make you think twice. And there's really no reason for it. It's just abject laziness. The Syracuse Community Court last year handled 120 cases of littering, tickets issued mostly by Chief Fowler's men and women, some issued by the Sheriff's Department, some by the State Police. But that's the tip of the iceberg. If there are 120 tickets issued, I guarantee you there's 10 times as many offenders as that. This year we're already up to 80 cases. And just so you know, what we do is, for a first offense, you're facing a potential $350 fine or 10 hours of community service. What we do instead of a conviction is give you the opportunity to work on the community court van and spend the day cleaning up trash in the city of Syracuse. And by the way, to our state elected officials, I'm told by Judge Merrill that we could use a little more money to support that community court van. The second offense, of course, the fines increases, as does the amount of community service. We're already up to 80 cases this year, which would be prorated to exceed last year. I can assure you we're going to do as good a job as we can with the resources we have available to us. And congratulations to everybody here in supporting this effort. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our great DOT Regional Director, Carl Ford.
Like several others before me, I'd like to thank all those who helped make this happen. Last Tuesday's cleanup took on a small portion of Interstate 690, yet the effort required dozens of laborers, and the safety of those workers required significant preparation. This emphasis on safety applies whenever a highway is restricted, whether it is, as in this case, a shoulder restriction or a more challenging lane closure. The work area, even though protected by cones and in some areas guide rail, is still a dangerous place due to the fast-moving traffic. For this combined cleanup effort to continue and be successful, lanes will have to be closed in the middle of the I-81 and I-690 interchange, which will affect traffic much more than last week's lane closure. I ask that area motorists always consider worker safety when they come across lane closures and work zones and obey all signs and warning devices. The saying here in central New York is that we have two seasons, winter and construction. While I won't argue that validity, I'll say that all highway and bridge maintenance and construction is being done for the benefit of the traveling public, and the window to get it done is very small. While it's frustrating to get stuck in traffic, I ask that drivers be patient and let us do our jobs. And before heading out, drivers can also look on DOT's new expanded 511 site to check for lane restrictions and plan alternate routes. That site can be found at www.511ny.org or by calling, though not while driving, 511.
As you can see from the individuals who are here, which include Chief Fowler and Sheriff Walsh, the law enforcement arm of this whole effort, we're serious about this. It's an important thing. I want to just emphasize 2 points that were made earlier. Point number 1 by the mayor was that we should not allow this to happen. People should not make this happen, and we can influence our neighbors as well. We can make sure that if someone's driving down the street and about ready to throw something out the window, that there's going to be serious fines and serious consequences, and even if there wasn't, they shouldn't do it. And those who might otherwise litter might think twice if they understand that there might be serious penalties. And the second thing I want to emphasize is what Bill Fitzpatrick said, is that I think the best punishment is for people that are found guilty of littering should be out there picking it up. I would love to be there to watch those individuals pick up the stuff. And maybe we'll have a news conference with some of those people. So don't be one of those people, as that commercial said, and make sure that you don't violate the law and you keep our community clean. Otherwise, there's going to be serious consequences. Lastly, what Carl Ford said about delays, there's going to be a sign, delays due to litter pickup. So if you don't want to be delayed any further, that's another incentive not to do or have people do what's causing our community such great harm. So thank you all very much, and the efforts are starting immediately, and hopefully all out there will hear the message. Thank you.